Alright, boys and girls, big day today in the crypto community, as the legendary trader David Day Trader Global would say, emergency press conference.
Emergency press conference time. Okay, emergency press conference time. Emergency press conference.
Bitcoin just crashed 25% today, and some are saying the sky is falling. SOS. Mayday. RIP. I'm never going to financially recover from this.
I am never going to financially recover from this.
But I'm here to tell you that if you can stay the course, not panic, and breathe, things are going to be just fine. If this is something that you don't think you can handle, then maybe Bitcoin's not for you, because this is actually not too far out of the ordinary for Bitcoin. I'm also here to explain that I know next to nothing about money, finances, the economy, and I'm definitely not a certified financial planner. I'm really not even certified in much of anything. So please do your own research before investing and listening to Joe Schmo off of YouTube. No offense to any Joe Schmoes out there. I'm sure you're all very knowledgeable people. But this is just my opinions, and I am going to vent on my thoughts. Let's go. Ooh, that is pretty bright on the eyes. This video is mainly meant for someone who recently started investing into crypto, although I think even people that have been in the space for a few years could probably gain something from this. With that said, I've been following the space closely since 2013 or so, and I'm going to throw a few quotes at you here. While past performance is not an indicator of future results, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. In other words, what I'm trying to say is there's no guarantee that these things will continue to happen, but for now, it seems to be a good indicator. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scroll through the price of Bitcoin over time, because I think that looking at the last bull market / bubble can give us some insight into the current one. By default here, TradingView pulls up into a linear chart, which can make it sort of hard to see the actual movements whenever the price is smaller. So this looks like kind of a small move here. In reality, it's going from $700 up to $20,000. So that's, a 25x move. So that's a crazy move. And at least this will put some perspective into where our price is right now. Sky high. We are going parabolic. But I'll change this to logarithmic so that we can actually take a look at some of these smaller moves and see what's going on there. I think that we can't really analyze too much past this bubble that we had in 2013. Before this, there was really only a few exchanges out there: Mt. Gox, Coinbase, Bitstamp. That was really it, and the market was still very new. But it started maturing after this bubble. This, I feel like, got a lot of people interested, and that's when I first got interested into it. So I want to look at, so I guess we can zoom out a little bit further here. Each one of these little candles here represents one day. And I'll make it represent a week just to show what we're really looking at. So the last run up here to 20K, I feel like we can do some analysis on this, and it can give us some insight into where this current run up is, maybe going. So I'm going to throw some trend lines on here. Bitcoin actually seems to follow trend lines pretty well, being that it doesn't really have too much new news. I mean, it does have some new news, but the fundamentals of the investment don't change much over time. So basically what these trend lines show us is that Bitcoin will stay in these channels until it doesn't. So this sort of bear market that we had for 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, 2016, until it broke out of that, it wasn't going to actually change its momentum. So this was a bear market until we broke out of it, and it became this sort of bull market here. And we had a similar thing happen over the last couple years, we had a little bit of a longer bear market where from 20K we fell down to 3,000 and we fluttered around this area until we broke out. And that's when things really started to take off. But I want to focus on this section here and talk about what we can expect during this run up. So zooming in, or what you'll see is a lot of these parabolic rises and then straight down cliff. Parabolic rise, cliff. Rise, cliff, rise, cliff, rise, cliff, rise, cliff, rise, cliff. So this is really the pattern that Bitcoin does all the time, basically. And as long as you don't get scared with, as the kids say these days, weak hands, you can ride this train the whole way to the top. So looking at some of these, they will basically fall. Let's go back to the 1 day graph here. Oh man, we're all messed up. We'll basically fall anywhere from 25 to 50% in these cliffs. So, you know, if you're buying, you should have a mindset that the next day you can have a drop of 25 to 50% almost, which is pretty crazy. So don't go all in by any means. So looking at this here, let's look at this guy. We had a rise up to $500 and we fell down to 316. That's a fall of 37%. Look at this rise and fall here. 776 down to 565. That's a fall of 28%. This guy here, 1200 down to 751. Pretty big fall there. Again, 38%. Similar here, 1287 down to 900. 30%. We see similar things here. I mean, just look at this. This is pretty crazy. Each one of these candles is a day. So you had 3 days of some extreme volatility where the moral story was we fell by 5% each day. And we went from a top of 2,600 down to 1,800. So we're looking at a 30% drop. And then, we fluttered around in there before continuing off. And, if you can't stomach these huge moves, you're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time.
And these moves, we see them happen the whole way up. And they seem like they're huge in the moment. But if you can make it past those moments, there is better days ahead, per se. And just looking at the current bull market that we've had, this little, I say little, but I really shouldn't say little, this sort of parabolic rise. So I'm drawing linear lines here, but because we're in a logarithmic chart here, these lines are really exponential. And just zooming into this little section that we've had here, you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see big fat candles. Here's a 13%er, and then you've got the same thing on the way down, 9%. So what's the stupid quote? If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. So if you can't handle this 10% drop right here, then you don't deserve all of this rise here. Moral of the story is keep the faith. Don't make any brash decisions. And I think next I will explain that basically dollar cost averaging is the best investment strategy that there is. Passive, non-passive, it doesn't matter. And if you can compare dollar cost averaging, which means you just buy a certain amount every certain period of time. So like with your 401k or your retirement account, you'll invest a couple $100 every couple weeks. So like every 2 weeks, you put in $200 into the market, and you do that over time. The returns from that investment are, believe it or not, going to be better than someone that buys at the absolute bottom every single time, which is basically impossible, but they're saving their money until they buy the bottom. Their investment is not actually growing or producing dividends while they're waiting for the bottom to happen. And obviously, this strategy is going to beat the polar opposite, someone that buys at the absolute top of every market cycle, as in she saves her money and she buys at literally the top of every single stock market peak. But what you'll be surprised is that even if you buy at the top, you will still have some pretty dang decent returns. So I think I'll make a video describing those three characters and their returns. Maybe I'll do some back testing of some of my own models as well. So that's what we're going to look forward to. As I said in a previous video, just hodl, just hold, because we will get to the moon slowly but surely. Just hitting some turbulence.